Hi. I just spent some time looking at some videos online of different ways that people put on handles. I thought I would give you a demonstration of one produced by Simon Leach. I'm assuming that this is the same Leach family, Bernard Leach, who was the famous British potter. Many functional potters draw their heritage from his pottery. Lots of people who later became instructors at universities or professional potters in the U.S. had apprenticeships with Mr. Leach. He also wrote a book, one of the first, for the studio potter. Anyway, I'm guessing this is probably a grandson or a nephew that I'm stealing from. And the thing that I liked about his demonstration was the efficiency of attaching a pot handle. Made a couple of attempts earlier today, and so here's a third one. One of the things he does first is, having determined where he probably wants to start his handle on a pot, I'm going to say right here at about where the shoulder begins to break, he takes his thumbnail and he just scrubs it back and forth to score the pot. Doesn't need any tools other than his hand. So I'm going to try to give a demonstration of doing the same here. So a little bit of scoring, you can see. Then he takes and he just drops a water drop or two on that scoring location, scored location, and sets that aside for a moment. Excuse me. Then he takes a full handle, one that he has previously pulled and has set up a little bit, looks like this. And the part that I like and find it most interesting about this is that he takes his thumb, the joint of his thumb, and he taps on the end of his pulled handle, and he's doing this to make it wider and to make all the edges of the handle flare out. You can see it's gotten fat there at the tip, and I'm sure this takes some practice to get it right, but that's essentially what he's doing, is curving it a bit so it fits, has a curvature that begins to fit the pot itself. And then he attaches it, mostly with just pressure. So taking the pot, the water has absorbed in a little bit. See if I can hold this correctly. One of the things that you have to kind of watch for is you want to make sure that you don't twist and bend the handle around a lot. So here we're pressing. Make sure I stay in camera shot. I'm just pushing that flared bit of clay on in to the shoulder of the pot. Once that's on, I'm going to take and do a little bit of a wipe, get a little wet sponge, and just sort of scrub that in. Of course, you can't see what I'm doing because I got my hands in the way. Let me switch my hands out here. Trying to get that to press in tight. Don't want it to fall off. So, front and back, get an attachment that you believe in. Attaching handles isn't just about getting something to stick. It's also about getting something that looks like it's substantial, that you can believe in it. Lots of times I pull handles that are too thin, or just the joint doesn't quite really hit, and they just don't seem believable. So, let me dry both hands off here so I can rotate this around. You can see what I've done. Sort of looks like an elephant's trunk dangling. All right, then what he does is he dampens one hand and he goes back in because this has been sitting for a bit, the handle, is dried somewhat. It is not as flexible as it was when he first pulled it. So one of the things he does is, he says, is he goes back and he freshens the handle. Get it so it's limber again. Then while it's sitting upside down, I'm going to slide my hand inside here so I can hold it. He takes the base, whoops, I've got this pulled too much to one side. I don't know if you can see that. It's like it's tugging too much. There we go. That's better. Dry the hand off. Let this dangle. Then he takes the base and he pulls it. Lets gravity take care of the curvature and places the handle where he believes it belongs as a fit. Now, one of the things you're looking for when you're making a handle is enough room to get a few fingers inside without being too much room. You don't want it too pinched because one finger, especially on something this big, isn't comfortable. But too big, and then you have a problem. If you can think about having a bag of groceries in your hand, and somebody hands you a bag of groceries, they're kind of heavy, and you have to hold them out at the end of your arms, extended. That's heavy. It's heavy because you're having to use your shoulder muscles, your back muscles, all of that, because it's so far away, it wants to draw downward. If you're able to hold the bag in closer, you begin to be able to settle in and kind of hold it against your chest. You bring the weight closer to you. Same thing is true with a cup. If it's a big open handle and you try to hold it, then a lot of the weight, let me go ahead and attach this, a lot of the weight is extended out in front of you. All right, so I've got the handle here. One of the things that Simon Leach does is he takes his finger and he presses his handle one way. He does not act this clumsily. He takes a thumb and scuffs it the second way to make sure that that's attached. And then the excess he gets top of and rotates, gives it a twist and downward to seal it against the pot itself. Now, you can see it creates a little bit of a tag sticking out. You can touch things up, make that cleaner if you like. You could also take a sponge and settle most of that away. So, one of the things that I really feel strongly about is the fact that you got to get in and get out when you make a handle. You want to get it attached. You don't want to have to fiddle with touching it up to get the arc right. They stay fresh this way. So, looking at that, I kind of like that handle better than the other two that I put on, though I got to admit it's a little thin. Doesn't look it that way. That looks okay. But when I turn it sideways, it's kind of thin. And I would have liked a bit more bulk. Maybe a better example of that might be, oops, shit, I just messed it up. Just bumped it. Yeah, that handle has a bit more bulk at the top, a little more believable. What I did was I screwed up the base there. I think you might be able to see it. Again, get in, get out, so you don't mess things up. It's like Mom says, keep picking at it, it'll never heal. See you later.